What's going on out there, ladies and gentlemen, boys, cats, children of all ages, dogs, pets, birds, kitties, Tom and Jerry, everybody who's out there watching and listening, however you may be consuming this, welcome into the Talkin Bout Podcast. I'm your host, TW, and we have a fun show for you guys today. Real quick, before we get started, I just want to say thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your day to kick it with me. I know you have so many options for what you could be consuming your time with. There's audio content, there's video content, there's everything in the world, but you are choosing to kick it, to spend your time right here with me, and I very do much appreciate it. If you want to help out the show, real quick, just go right ahead and, hit that like button. Let everybody know how much you like this video right here. Hit the subscribe button, no matter what platform you're watching on, or, the addition button, so you get each and every episode of this content here. And hit that notification bell if you're watching on YouTube, so that you get notified every time I drop some brand new fire content on this page. Drop a comment below this video. Let me know if you think what I'm saying is crazy. Let me know if you think what I'm saying is brilliant. Whatever it is, let me know. I try to get back to each and every comment. Every interaction is appreciated. You know what I mean? Tweet your boy, all that good stuff. But the best thing you can do if you want to help out this page, help out this channel, help out this show, is tell a friend to tell a friend. I always want to bring more people into the conversation. And speaking of bringing more people into the conversation, I brought my man BQ with me. BQ, welcome to the Talkin Bout Pod for the first time, my brother. How are you doing?
What's up, man? I'm happy to do this. First time Talkin Bout Pod. I'm excited to talk about something other than Impact Wrestling. As much as I love talking about it, it's cool to just get the opportunity to spread my wings a little bit. That was a hell of an intro, by the way, but I'm looking forward to just kind of stepping outside of my comfort zone a little bit.
Well, we're happy to have you.
Yeah.
Okay, all the children cheer. Everybody is happy to have you in the building for some fun stuff we're going to get into today. So, real quick, man, this past Saturday was the Royal Rumble. It felt like the world kind of stopped for the Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble is one of the best calendar events of the wrestling year. We all know it leads up to the road to WrestleMania. And we also know, as people who, watch wrestling, that WWE can go on cruise control for a lot of months. They have big shows that they plan, like, SummerSlam. They'll heat up the content for a couple of weeks leading into SummerSlam, but they really pour their all into WrestleMania. It's always a big stadium show. They bring back the celebrities, the alumni, like everybody. And the Royal Rumble is the kickoff to the road to WrestleMania. And this Royal Rumble happened last week. What did you think? What was your thoughts on the Royal Rumble?
So check it. I'm not an avid WWE viewer. I order the pay-per-views for the most part. I shouldn't say I order. I have Peacock. I watch the pay-per-views for the most part. So there's a lot of wrestlers when I'm watching them, I don't know who they are. I don't know the stories. So sometimes it's a little difficult, but I'm able to watch it without really overthinking stuff because I don't know what's going on.
Right.
The Royal Rumble is one of those pay-per-views. Even if you hate WWE with passion, it's pretty enjoyable. And I saw, for the most part, the social media chatter seemed to be fairly negative. Worst Rumble I ever seen. And trust me, I get why someone would say that. The way that, the men and women's match ended was, there was no back and forth. There was no, it was just down to the last two, and then they just eliminated them, and it was over. And it was very predictable winners, but I still enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed all the matches on the card. I had fun watching it. I had no complaints about it just because I'm not as emotionally invested in it. Right, but it was cool to me.
What was your favorite thing about the whole show?
Oh, the favorite thing. I should say I actually missed the Miz and Maurice match because I actually had to stop.
That match was better than expected, I gotta say. I thought that match was better than expected. I thought I was like, hey, bathroom match, Ms. Maurice is here to get beat up, yada, yada, yada. No, man, like they went out there and put together a fun match. The Maurice jumped off the top rope and gave Edge a Hurricane Rana. I didn't see that coming because Maurice wasn't wrestling like that when she was an active wrestler. So I was like, man, that was a surprise. So that match actually I thought was a pleasant surprise. It was way more fun than I thought it was going to be.
I want to go back and watch it. I had to pause the show and then I had to fast forward through some of the fluff, and I fast forward the match and had no clue. So I got to go back and check it out. But I think I enjoyed the Women's Rumble quite a bit. It was super botchy in some parts, very overproduced. The whole show, both Rumbles were super overproduced. But I like the women's one, and I forgot the point I was going to make. What I was going to say was I liked that they didn't use a bunch of NXT people like they did in the past. Because
NXT now, right, is not NXT what it used to be, right? Like,
It's
if we were talking this time last year, a bunch of NXT people would mean people with like indie experience, people experience working overseas, all this type of stuff. But now a bunch of NXT means like somebody who just got to the Performance Center 3 weeks ago. You know what I mean? So they've gutted NXT, and so a bunch of NXT people would not have made for a good Rumble. For me, I gotta say my highlight of the night was Sasha Banks and Melina doing an impromptu Bust It challenge. That was unexpected but appreciated. So shout out to you, Sasha Banks. You are definitely a hero to anybody who took the time to watch the Rumble, and shout out to Melina for doing her thing as well. But I felt like watching that show that the first two matches, first of all, it started off with a bang. The best thing of the night was the opening match between Seth and Roman. Like that by far was the best thing on the show. When Seth Rollins came out to that Shield music, well, let me go back even before that. When Roman came out first, I was like, wait a minute, why is Roman coming out first? Because I believe WWE books by a very simple philosophy, right? Like one of the things is biggest pop comes out last, right? Like whoever they think is going to be the biggest pop, that's the person going to come out last. Now, in this case, I was like, are they setting this up to be a Seth Rollins show, like some sort of like, is the whole show going to be about Seth Rollins? Is this match going to be about Seth Rollins? So Roman coming out first completely threw me off. I was like, yo, where is this going? And more importantly, what does it mean for the rest of this show, right? Like I was talking to my wife about it. I was like, yo, this whole show is built around Roman. I was like, there's 3 matches on the show that all pertain to what Roman Reigns is doing at WrestleMania. The Roman and Seth match, the Brock Lashley match, and the Royal Rumble. All 3 of those matches really concern what is Roman Reigns doing at WrestleMania. So I was like, the order of matches matters very much, and again, so when I saw Seth and Roman going on first, I was like, oh God, what does this mean, right? And then when Roman came out first, I was like, oh God, what does this mean? And then Seth Rollins came out to the Shield music, the old school Shield music, and that place went bananas. I popped right here in the gimmick studio. I was just sitting here and I was like, I can't believe it. But also, once Seth came out to the Shield music, I knew that the story they were telling was that, Seth is he's antagonizing Roman. And so Seth is going to be the one to get his comeuppance here in this match. But I also, I had a feeling going into that both Seth and Brock were going to win. I'm sorry, that both Roman and Brock were going to win. And I thought Brock was going to lose the WWE Championship to Seth Rollins next month or later this month in the Elimination Chamber. But that's obviously not how that played out. as we all know by now, this is over a week ago. About a week ago. This is about a week ago. And so everybody knows by now what exactly happened here. Roman Reigns came out and interfered in the Bobby Lashley Brock Lesnar match, causing Brock Lesnar to lose that match. And by the way, let me just say, I was really, really hesitant, worried. You know, I had some trepidation. I didn't feel great about the prospects of this Brock Lesnar Bobby Lashley match because in the lead up to it, Brock was very dismissive of Bobby Lashley. Very dismissive of Bobby Lashley. And I thought Brock was still going to beat him. And I thought that would have been the worst burial they've done to anybody since Triple H did that to Booker T back at, what was that, WrestleMania 19, where they did the whole storyline where, you know, Triple H was being like wild racist, you know what I mean, to Booker T in the lead up to the match. And then Triple H beat him clean and convincingly, one pedigree, and Booker T laid there like he got shot. And, you know, like, I was like, man, like, that was just like, and so I thought that was kind of what was coming for Bobby Lashley. And while they didn't do that and Bobby Lashley won, they did it in a way where you very much were to understand that Brock Lesnar didn't lose to, Bobby Lashley didn't beat Brock Lesnar. Roman Reigns beat Brock Lesnar, which I thought cut the legs out of Lashley's title win. And that was kind of trash. Like, they could have did something where, you know, Roman hit Lashley with the title, hit Brock with the title, and Lashley still speared him afterwards and got the cover. Right. But instead, it was like this one thing that Roman did happen, and it's almost as though Lashley didn't matter. And I really hated that. You know, let Lashley get his flowers, let him win, let him look strong.
So I got to say first, Mickie James's entrance was my favorite part. I kind of misunderstood. You're asking my favorite match, and so I said the Women's Rumble, but Mickie James's entrance was my favorite part. I totally agree. So I'm watching Brock and Lashley, and I watched the first 2 minutes of it right after Lashley hit his German suplex, and then I went to my son. My son used to always watch wrestling with me, and then he discovered anime, and I haven't seen him since. So I ran into him and he watched TNA with me a lot, you know, it's kind of before it came to Impact. So he was very familiar with Lashley, and then he watched WWE with me at that time. So he knew Brock. So I said, hey, you want to watch Brock versus Lashley? He's like, I mean, he dropped what he was doing. He's like, yeah. You know, he's almost 13. And then my 9-year-old is like, I want to watch too. So we all hop in my bed and we watch it.
Nice.
This was like the worst match ever.
Yeah.
Like, this was just so bad. And my son, even though he was really rooting for Lashley, was like he didn't care when Lashley won. Like, this is a child, and he didn't connect with the finish at all. He's just like, well, I wanted Lashley to win, but not like that.
Right,
you know, like
there
was he wasn't like, oh, you know, there was nothing to react to. You know what I mean? So it was just disappointing, man. They didn't really wrestle. It was just some suplexes and some bullshit to tell a different story that had nothing to do with the two of them.
Right.
And I wanted to ask you, because I don't watch on a regular basis, is this Seth Rollins like just all fruity, just like a new like what is that?
So here's the thing with Seth Rollins. Like Seth Rollins is the Randy Orton to Roman Reigns' John Cena. Seth Rollins is the Macho Man to Roman Reigns' Hulk Hogan. Seth Rollins is, you know what I mean? Like that. So he's the 1A to Roman as the one. And unfortunately, like what that means is because he's so good, he can play. I think he's a natural heel, but he can also be a good babyface if you give him the right situation. But because he's so good at all of it, Vince McMahon will have him do any damn thing. You know what I mean? And so I think that, like, you know, Seth Rollins, he's just a good enough professional wrestler that he takes it upon himself to reinvent his character whenever possible, which is smart, by the way. Because if you look at wrestling these days, people don't reinvent their characters nearly enough. But like in order to, and a lot of people hate it because a lot of people hated on Seth Rollins so hard. Seth Rollins beat Brock Lesnar for the Universal title at WrestleMania a couple of years ago. And people just proceeded to bitch about it. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, they found out Seth Rollins was dating Becky Lynch. And they're like, oh, well, we don't see the chemistry between them two. And I was like, yo, like, this is not Nikki Bella and John Cena. Like, Becky Lynch is not the type to come in the ring and kiss me, Seth, you're the hero. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's right. It made no sense. But a lot of it didn't fit people's narrative, right? Their idea of like, you're the hero champ and this is your girlfriend. This is how she should be acting over you. But like people just, they didn't want to see Seth Rollins for like, just for whatever he was. And so a lot of people really hated on Seth Rollins. And then, you know, they did all this weird stuff with The Fiend and, you know, and so anyway, so Seth Rollins was forced to reinvent his character because he couldn't just come, you know, keep coming out there and saying, either A, hey, why don't you like me? Or B, you guys don't like me, so now F you. So instead, he just took it upon himself to basically like the character morphed into this like cult leader where he was calling himself the Monday Night Messiah and he had disciples and, you know, he was doing like all this weird stuff. Almost like, remember when CM Punk did the Straight Edge Society? Yeah. It was almost like that. So he did that and then that kind of morphed into like the drip god where he was coming out in all these weird ass suits and, you know, all these weird effects or whatever. And just being like a really annoying heel. Like he has like this, he goes, yeah. But he's so good at it. You know what I mean? Like he's so good at, like, I maintain that Seth Rollins is one of those people that is so good at anything that you could put him anywhere. And it kind of works to his detriment because Vince is like, you're so good. I can just put you here because I need somebody to do this. Meanwhile, he should be over here getting the Roman Reigns treatment, in my opinion. You know what I mean? You should be treating this guy like the star of your show, the Superman that nobody could beat. So yeah, I mean, so at the moment, you know, Seth Rollins is just being like an annoying ass heel. But what I think has happened is he's actually won people over. And Seth Rollins has been getting a lot of cheers from the audience. So I would not be shocked if somehow come WrestleMania, well, I was going to say before today, I was going to say I would not be shocked if Seth Rollins found himself in the WWE title picture come WrestleMania. But as we'll talk about going forward, I don't think that's actually in the plans, but I do think Seth Rollins has shown himself to be an A1 quality babyface, and I don't think it's going to be long before he's WWE champion or Universal champion again. So speaking of the Rumble and kind of the aftermath, right? So we know Brock Lesnar, you know, lost the title to Lashley in a way that didn't make Lashley look good. And then we know that Brock Lesnar re-entered himself in the Royal Rumble, came out, tossed everybody out, came out at number 30, and won the Royal Rumble. We also know that Ronda Rousey came out, I think, at 27 and won the Women's Royal Rumble. What did you think of these picks for Royal Rumble winners?
It was just so out of the WWE playbook, man. The first thing I had tweeted out is that, man, they have a formula and they stick to it. Like, I mean, there's no, I mean, last year, Edge winning at number 1, and, you know, I'm just like, man, they just,
it's like they have like 5 different Royal, or maybe like 3 or 4 different Royal Rumble stories, and it's like, pick one for this year. Either like number 1 and you go all the way through, number 27 and you win, or surprise entry at number 30, come in and win, something like that.
Yeah, so it's just, there's nothing unpredictable about the Rumble. Like, it's a fun match, so that's why people enjoy it, but there's just nothing unpredictable about the way they do these finishes. You know, I'm never just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this person won. And what zapped that, the unpredictability from it, is when years ago, when they're finally like, hey, the winner is going to main event WrestleMania. that like pigeonholed them into like, hey, only 5 of these people are going to win.
Right.
And, you know, as opposed to before, you know, you saw a Hacksaw Jim Duggan win, and you saw a Big John Studd win.
That's great points.
You know, but once they were just like, hey, we got to tie WrestleMania into this, it's, you know, you weren't going to get those surprise win. They're not going to be like, what, you know, Austin Theory, we're going to push this guy to the moon. He's going to main event. Like, that's just not going to happen.
Right.
So, they stuck. It makes
sense though, right? I mean, like, you got 40,000 people in the dome in St. Louis, which is right around your way. And you're not going to put 40,000 people in the dome to see Austin Theory win, because you're just not.
Agreed.
Like, not enough people are invested in Austin Theory's story. But what you could do, though, right, is if you want Austin Theory to win the Royal Rumble, then you need to start building up Austin Theory from, like, you know, summertime or right after WrestleMania. So by the time we get to the Royal Rumble, Austin Theory is hot enough with your audience that he could be, you know, get the big pop and the go home happy when he wins the Royal Rumble. But they don't do that, right? It's just like we were just talking about with Bobby Lashley, right? Like, Bobby Lashley got a win over Brock Lesnar, but they did it in the way that makes Bobby Lashley look the weakest possible. It's damn hard to make Bobby Lashley look weak, but damn it, they pulled it off. Okay. They pulled it off. And so, it's like, I don't understand, man. Like, I'm not going to like Roman Reigns any less if you make Bobby Lashley look good. Like, I don't understand why WWE has this philosophy of only one guy can look strong. You know what I mean? Or in this case, you know, Brock Lesnar came back, but unless Brock Lesnar's here, only Roman can be dominant. You know what I mean? Like, I was having this conversation with people about Big E, and I'm like, okay, Big E, by the way, his singles run is clearly finished. You know, he got WWE Championship. He had it. I thought he did a great job with it, but, you know, like, he was eliminated from the Rumble unceremoniously.
Oh, and, like a sack of shit. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, like, they put him back in the New Day tag team on SmackDown, and it's like, man, they clearly don't want to put him in that spot. And I don't know, man. Like, I'm like, why not? You know, people are like, oh, hey, Brock won the title off Big E because Brock's the bigger star. But I'm like, why not make Big E a star? Like, why is Brock Lesnar a star? Brock Lesnar is a star because we got to see Brock Lesnar win some big matches. We got to see Brock Lesnar defeat The Rock. We got to see Brock Lesnar defeat Hulk Hogan. We got to see Brock Lesnar in The Undertaker's undefeated streak at WrestleMania. We got to see Brock Lesnar smash John Cena, and that's why we see Brock as the Suplex City Monster, right? You got to let people get these big wins. Even Seth Rollins, right? Seth Rollins is at that Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar level. Why? Because we got to see him get big wins over Roman Reigns, over Brock Lesnar, over anybody and everybody who's relevant in this day. And I just don't understand, like, what's the harm in making new stars? You know what I mean? Like, what's the harm in making new stars? I don't get it. But for some reason, that's just not how WWE gets down.
It definitely isn't. They're like, these are our dudes, these are our girls, and it's just
right. Charlotte Flair forever.
Yeah.
So speaking of Charlotte Flair, right? We know Ronda Rousey won the Women's Royal Rumble, and she announced this week on SmackDown that she's going to be challenging Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. So we're going to get Ronda and Charlotte, which was the match that they wanted to do way back in 2019 before Becky Lynch got, you know, super hot. And there was no way they couldn't put Becky Lynch in that match. Like, the way that the circumstances unfolded. And you know what? They still weren't going to put Becky Lynch in that match. But when Nia Jax broke Becky's face, and they had that moment where Becky was standing at the top of the stairs and had the bloody face and the nose broke, it was like, yo, that was like iconic on like the level of Steve Austin in The Sharpshooter with the blood pouring down his face. It was like, dog, like, I was like, yo, you can't not get behind this woman. And, you know, and so they did the right thing. They put Becky in the match. Becky, you know, was the right person to get that match. Becky won a winner take all match and came out of that match as the SmackDown Women's Champion and the Raw Women's Champion. Keep that in mind for what we're going to talk about in a few minutes. Now, do you think that Ronda versus Charlotte is the best women's matchup for WrestleMania?
Yeah, I thought about this, and it's just by far the most marquee matchup. There's nothing they could do. I don't see them. So I think that Big E, not Big E, Lashley, if he ends up retaining his championship, he's going to be in a triple threat. There's no doubt in my mind. Even if he doesn't win, that match is going to be a triple threat. There's not going to be a one-on-one. I'm almost willing to guarantee. I don't think they're going to muddy up the other big title matches like that, though. So I don't think Rousey versus Charlotte, I don't think they're going to throw anyone in there. And I don't think they're going to do that for Brock and Roman either. There's no reason to. They're both huge marquee matchups. So even though on Mania they love their, how do we get everyone on this card? I think they're going to leave those alone because you can't make them any bigger. What was the match that Charlotte inserted herself in? It wasn't. I think it was the main of WrestleMania because initially it was Becky versus.
Right, it was going to be Becky versus Ronda when Becky won the title, and then they did this ridiculous segment where Vince McMahon came out, and again, you talk about like WWE's formula. For some reason, when there's a huge baby face, the only response has to be that the McMahon family doesn't like this huge baby face, and they have to try and obstruct their path to the championship. So Vince McMahon comes out, and all of a sudden he's telling Becky that this match needed a star quality person, and that's when he decided to put Charlotte Flair in the match. And that's when I said, "Oh, brother, this guy stinks." I was not interested in having Charlotte Flair in that match. Okay, I did not want to have Charlotte Flair in the match. That was Becky's time. It should have been Becky versus Ronda. That was the match to do, but instead we got the triple threat, which turned out fine. It was a little sloppy, but we got the right outcome, right? We got Becky at the end holding up the 2 championships. That's where we wanted to go. Speaking of 2 championships, so the poster is out for Elimination Chamber. Have you seen the poster for Elimination Chamber?
Yes.
Yes, and if you've seen this poster, you know there is only one wrestler's face on that poster, and that wrestler is Brock Lesnar. So being that Brock Lesnar is the only face on the poster, I have a hard time believing that he is not winning the Elimination Chamber, and I believe Brock Lesnar is going to take the WWE Championship from Bobby Lashley in the Elimination Chamber, and he's going to have a title versus title match, winner take all, against Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. You mentioned how could you possibly make the match bigger? There you go. I think that makes the match bigger.
But I don't understand why he needed to win the Rumble then. You know what I mean? Like, if he either could have retained... Well, I understand why he didn't retain the title because they had to further that story with Paul Heyman. They had to throw that swerve in there. But he didn't need to win the Rumble. Like, him just getting swerved by Paul Heyman was justification enough, really, in the way they booked, to where he could have been in the main event against Roman. Right. And then if you want to have him, win the title here, that's fine. But if he does win the championship, it further makes me feel like why did he win the Rumble? Because he just won the title here to gain himself, to guarantee himself a main event spot.
Right.
So it's, I mean, I guess because they needed to put both titles in the same match. They most likely, what you're saying, most likely have to put the 2 titles in the same match.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they have to do it. Like, they could very easily do Bobby Lashley versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania for the WWE Championship. I think that's a good match. Bobby Lashley has been booked very strong, with the exception of that, Brock Lesnar match, which he still won, by the way. I mean, it's not like he didn't win. It was the weakest win possible, but it was still a win, right? Like, the history books will forever say that Brock Lesnar lost to Bobby Lashley at the Royal Rumble. So, outside of that, Bobby Lashley has been booked like a monster. So I think you could very much do Bobby Lashley versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania for the WWE Championship. And I think it'll be a good match. Like, Seth Rollins doesn't really have bad matches, and neither really does Bobby Lashley. Like, Bobby Lashley and Seth Rollins, I think they will put on a banger. And no matter who wins, like, I think I'd be happy with that. I think that'd be a good match. And I think it would definitely deliver. But this is all about the greater glory of Roman Reigns, okay? Everything, all roads lead to Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar, and your title be damned. Your match be damned. Okay, Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins Bobby Lashley and Seth Rollins might have a match at WrestleMania, but the WWE Championship won't be there. Okay,
right?
Won't be there. It's going to be in the main event of night 2, which is going to be a title versus title match. Which is, again, winner take all does not mean unification. It does not mean there's going to be one champion. And I think that's very important because WWE still has SmackDown and the Fox network, and they have Monday Night Raw and the USA network, and they require both of those companies to feel like they're getting marquee stars and, champions, that matter, characters that matter. So I don't think those titles will stay on one person for long. When they did this with Becky Lynch carried both titles up until Money in the Bank when she lost one. I believe she lost one to Charlotte, and then Charlotte lost it immediately to Bayley. That event was actually in Hartford. I was there. It was a good time. Shout out to my boy Omar. That was a good day.
Yeah, and I think she defended the other one against Lacey
Evans. Yeah. Lacey Evans. So I mean, that's where I think this is going. I'm interested to see, how it works out. What do you guys at home think? This is how do you guys think this is going to go? Drop your comments down below. Let me know what you think is next for Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns and all the major players that we just talked about. All right, BQ, you want to talk some AEW, man? You've been hell yeah, keeping an eye on AEW.
Yeah, absolutely.
What who are your people that you really like or don't like in AEW? What stands out to you most about AEW these days?
I think what stands out, and I didn't realize it so much, is I'm watching the Rumble, and everyone who is of size was presented to be a pretty big star, and then you go to AEW, and it's like, the people in the main event, everyone winning these matches, it's almost like they have this unwritten rule that the smallest person in the match is going to win. Right. And, I, with passion, hate Jungle Boy, Orange Cassidy, Darby Allin. Like, I can't stand these dudes.
Right.
They're little dudes who are unbeatable.
Right.
You have to shoot them in the chest to pin them. There was a match against the Lucha Brothers. They hit where Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus won the belts. They hit I think like a Canadian Destroyer on the outside and then rolled them in and hit their through a table, I think, and then roll them in and hit their finisher, and this motherfucker kicks out. I'm just like, how do you beat him? It's crazy. I was watching, I don't know what I was watching tonight. It was Dynamite or Rampage. It was Sammy Guevara. He's another one, dude. Can't pin him. And who was he fighting?
Sammy Guevara was fighting, I think,
Isaiah Cassidy.
Bowens from right. It was Isaiah Cassidy. That's right. It was him.
I forgot. So he hit something on the outside, dude, and then rolled him in and hit two big moves in a row. And it's just like, and then this dude just kicks out, and then he hops right back up, like nothing happened. I'm just like, dude, they kill me, man. I enjoy the show for the most part, but there's just guys. It takes super finishers to beat them. Some guys are impossible to beat. It's crazy, and it's always the smallest guys. Yeah. Or they said, Orange Cassidy had the most wins in 2021. I'm like, I believe it, because you put him on every single episode and unbeatable.
Right. It's amazing. Yeah, and shout out to Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara beat two black men. He beat up two black men on the first Rampage of Black History Month. So please give a big shout out to Tony Khan for the booking. Shout out to Tony Khan. That was phenomenal. Shout out to Sammy Guevara doing it for the culture, I guess. And the other thing that I noticed about the main event of Rampage, it was cool. They had Ricky Starks, who I really like, going against Jay Lethal, who's really good, in a match that also saw the appearance of Will Hobbs, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Dante Martin of Top Flight, formerly of Top Flight. I don't know if Top Flight's still a thing.
They're still a thing. His brother's just hurt.
Yeah. So I was like, oh man, this is cool. They're throwing like every black guy, every black person not named Jade Cargill or Private Party into this one match. And I think it's like, Tony Khan, he felt some criticism about the presentation of black characters in AEW. So he's like, hey, if I put all the black people in one match, somebody's got to win. So you can't say there's no black people winning because somebody had to win, okay? So shout out to Tony Khan. Tony Khan definitely, again, doing it for the culture. We appreciate you, Tony Khan. Thank you again. We know you love black people. Thank you. Thank you very much, Tony Khan, for all the blessings you have bestowed upon us. We finally got to see the culmination, or it wasn't the culmination. It was just the next step in this feud between CM Punk and MJF. MJF is protected more than the damn Secret Service protects the president. He got a win over CM Punk this week. What did you think that was the right move, or
yes, because CM Punk is another one. Granted, he's CM Punk. I'm not putting him on the level of Darby Allin and these dudes, but this motherfucker doesn't. I feel that they overexposed CM Punk, not to the extent that they did with Sting. Like, they made Sting nothing in about 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I mean, you couldn't have done a worse job with him, in my opinion. And with CM Punk, I love watching CM Punk out there. Don't get me wrong, dude, but they find a way to get him involved in everything. And when I went to Rampage in St. Louis, he was cutting a promo. I didn't know it wasn't on TV until he's like, okay, and then he completely stopped. But he was cutting a promo to the crowd, and he goes, I read the dirt sheets. People talk about that. We just have to find a way to get my entrance on the show, But it's true, like they do. So he's another one. When he wrestles, I'm like, he's not going to lose. That you just know he's not. And I thought the way that he beat Wardlow was such bullshit. Like, I thought that when Wardlow hit those power bombs and then they teased that he would have beat him, but MJF had him, no, power bomb more. They should have ended the match on the count out at that point. He, power bombed him through the table. I felt that Wardlow should have just won on a count out. Yeah. Instead, he, with 1 second left, jumps in the ring, and then rolls him up.
Right.
I'm just like, here we go, man. It's
like you was just dead outside 2 seconds ago, and now you're fast enough to jump up and do a roll up.
And here we are again. So I thought I just liked seeing CM Punk lose. Like, I can't. It doesn't matter the wrestler. If I just see them win nonstop, you want someone to get hot and to win. But when they're unbeatable, I lose interest so freaking fast. And I thought they should have ended the match when he choked him out. I thought that was very original, the way they did it. And then the referee, like, he looked like such a fucking tool in this match.
Yeah.
Look at it. He saw that thing fall on the ground, and he's being all dramatic.
Oh, yeah.
But I will say, this is probably the first time in wrestling history that they restarted a match for the babyface, and he still lost. I can't think of a single other time they've done that. So, I
did like that. I thought that was a creative way to do it, because usually when they restart the match, the babyface ends up winning. So I mean, like, it's cool, man. I think it kind of just really adds to what MJF has going on. I mean, like, I think MJF is probably a little overrated. I mean, like people really, just talk about this guy like he's just the stuff. And I'm like, okay, he's cool, man. Like I get it, but like, what's really funny to me about MJF is like MJF seems to really believe this, and a lot of people seem to believe this too. This idea that WWE really wants him, which they probably do. WWE probably really wants MJF so they can take him away from AEW, but that's it. Because you ain't never, ever, ever gonna be this MJF on WWE TV. Never. MJF's whole gimmick is let me go out here and see how much foul stuff I can say, right? You know what I mean? That's his whole gimmick. And that ain't never gonna fly on WWE TV. It's not. Yeah. Not in a day when they got corporate sponsors to answer to. You ain't going out there calling women in the crowd meth addicts and teen mom and all of this stuff. Like, you ain't never going to do it. So I thought it was actually really funny, and a lot of people hated this. They had a little back and forth between him and CM Punk a couple of weeks ago, and MJF dropped the line where he's like, "Oh, I might go main event of WrestleMania. That's something you couldn't do." And everybody was like, "Oh, I can't believe you said that." Yeah. And I'm like, and I'm like, to me, I didn't think that was that big a deal because, like, CM Punk was very open, right, about the fact that it really bothered him that he, was the world champion and didn't get to be the main event of WrestleMania. He was very clear that main eventing to him meant going on last. And right. He was very clear that was something that bothered him. And so, like, I don't know why everybody was like, "Oh," like he just like made some giant revelation. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I thought what CM Punk said in return, I thought that was way more biting. He said something to the effect of like, go ahead, you can main event night 4 of a buy one get one extravaganza.
Oh my God, yeah.
And then get released faster than you last in the sack. I was like, damn. Like I thought that was really tough, really harsh. And it was a nice little jab at WWE. It was a nice little jab at MJF. And again, to me, the idea that MJF would be a main eventer in WWE, I think is laughable. I mean, unless there's like some major change in management, right? I mean, Vince McMahon can't last forever. But, if Vince McMahon kicks the bucket and Triple H takes over, maybe. But other than that, as long as Vincent Kennedy McMahon is in charge of WWE, MJF and his 5'2" self ain't never, ever, ever going to be in no main event of WWE WrestleMania unless it's as a referee or a manager. Okay, it ain't happening. It ain't happening. Okay, if you don't believe me, if you disagree, drop comments. Okay, drop comments and tell me why I'm wrong. Something else here from the world of AEW that I just thought is delightful is we got another segment between Brandy Rhodes and Dan Lambert. Now, did you see this Dan Lambert Brandy Rhodes segment?
Oh yeah.
What was your thoughts on Dan Lambert and Brandy Rhodes?
So, first of all, Brandy Rhodes looked phenomenal in this segment. Second of all, she embraced the heel persona and started cutting this heel promo where I wanted to hear where it went. I wanted to hear what she was going to say. And we know that AEW loves to do talking segments, whether in the ring or outside of the ring, where someone starts talking and before they spit out 3 words, they get attacked or they get interrupted. And it always bothers me because I from just a wrestling fan standpoint, you're like, what did they have? I want to know what they had to say. What were they going to say? Like, what was the point of even having them for the interview? And I thought she was going a good direction, very heel direction. And we never got to hear where the hell she was going with it. And then she gets interrupted by heel Dan Lambert and heel Men of the Year. And they are cutting heel promos on her like she's now a baby face. And then she transitions to kind of being a baby face. And then there's this brawl, because Paige Van Zant comes out. Paige Van Zant would kill her. Yeah, Paige Van Zant would kill her. And she's running at her like she wants to fight. She don't want to fucking fight. And then, again, she's treated like a baby face. The baby faces come out and save her. I'm like, why I just don't get what they're doing with that. That's
right.
I'm trying to wrap my head around. It's not about I want to know where everything's going. It's just you see something like that and it makes no sense.
Right.
Cut a heel promo and then have heels come out and cut heel promos on you and then you just switch to being a babyface. Like,
right.
I didn't even see
the switch to the babyface though. I didn't even see that. To me, it was just so apparent that the crowd just really does not like her at all, and it makes her seem really, unaware. Right? It's like It's like I don't know what's the best use of her because. I do. I'm sorry. I do know the best use of her and Cody is they need to do exactly what Matt Cardona and Chelsea Green are doing. Go heel on everybody, give everybody middle fingers, and just let the hate reign, baby, because they ain't going to see, they're telling you how they see you. Okay. They're telling you how they see you. And to be honest, like nothing about them screams babyface. Like we know that Cody is of the business and he loves the business, but people don't like him right now. It is what it is. People don't like him. And like the thing about Cody, right? What gets Cody in trouble, what has gotten Cody in trouble with the fans is when he completely overthinks these promos, right? Like he did one, and this is another AEW thing, by the way. So on the subject of a Cody promo, right? He did this promo to create his feud with Anthony Ogogo, where he wanted to talk about America and racism and like all of this stuff, and it made him sound like such a self-unaware jackass. You know what I mean? Like he said things like, "We don't know what to do during the anthem," to which everybody was like, "What? What are you talking about?" And just like all of this stuff, right? And so you completely lost everybody there. But then you couple that onto the fact that you did all this so that you could hot shot a flag match that nobody cared about with somebody who we had never seen before and haven't seen since, right? And then fast forward to the last 2 weeks in AEW, okay? Like you were the TNT champion. You were off TV for 1 week and crowned an interim champion who's now walking around with 2 belts, like you were gone for 6 months. Like, make it make sense. That's an AEW thing, man. That's an AEW thing where it's like, we want to do this thing we saw on WWE before. We don't care if it makes sense, but it's our thing. We'll be able to say that this was our ladder match for 2 belts. And I guarantee you somewhere out there's an AEW fan who is watching frame by frame the Sammy Guevara Cody Rhodes ladder match, and he is comparing it to the Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon match at WrestleMania or SummerSlam.
Right. And you talk about him being unaware.
Right, exactly. Go ahead.
Yeah.
We had to let Dr. Umar finish.
What was that?
So we had to let Dr. Umar finish.
My bad. I wasn't catching it. You talk about his self-awareness and just lack thereof. When he got that tattoo on his neck, man, at that point, that was where it started. People were like, who's this pompous ass dude think he is? And then every time you have a celebrity come in or a new star, they get an angle with Cody. Yeah. And then Cody always has to be written off TV. Like, we see some guys just not appear on TV for weeks. But when Cody's not on TV, that's the one guy that, like, we got to find a way to write him off TV.
Right.
It's always, that he gets attacked, and then, 3 weeks later, Tony Schiavone's like, the return of Cody, or he comes back by surprise. Last time he came back through the crowd for whatever goddamn reason against Malachi Black, started walking through the crowd with a white suit on, and it's always the same shit, like this triumphant return, I'm Superman. And then he has a grudge match. And you notice they don't really do rematches in AEW, but Cody always gets his rematches when he loses.
Right.
And he comes down, and it's the same shit. It's a grudge match. He gets color in the match.
Yep.
And then more often than not wins. But regardless, he's gonna get color. It's like this. I counted in 2020 he had this is a while ago. It was either 5 or 6 returns that year, and they were all the same exact way. He got written off TV for injury, triumphant return, gets bloody in the grudge match, and won all but one, I believe.
There it is. And so that's the thing. It's like, so he's doing the Triple H, right? Where it's all about me. We're going to build these things completely around me and my wants, sense be damned, storyline be damned, right? Continuity of story flow be damned, right? But yet and still he fights so hard against this idea that he's a heel. And again, it just comes back to the self-unawareness. It's like, bro, like, yo, do you look in the mirror? Like, hello, Potts. You know what I mean? Like, no, so we get so much of that with like Brandy Rhodes too. Like, it's like a trickle down. Maybe something in the air in that house. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Because Dan Lambert is disgusting. Like, this Dan Lambert is completely disgusting. Like, they bring this guy out here and, telling her she got fake boobs and, you're calling her a stripper name and like all of this stuff. But the people hate her so much that it doesn't matter. They still cheer it because it's what they see too, But I can say this, at least they didn't make Brandy Rhodes go out there and call herself a black bitch this week. And so for that, AEW, for that, Tony Khan, I applaud you.
That was bad, man. That was really, really bad. There was one angle that Brandy had that worked for me is when her and the Bunny, when she was Allie, were a tag team, and she was like the baby face, and Allie was the heel. Like, that worked for me. It wasn't really on Dynamite. It was more of a AEW Dark thing, but I thought that dynamic worked. Yeah. And then I think where she lost a lot of respect for the fans, even though it's what they wanted, is when she had that Nightmare Collective stable and she listened to the fans, and the fans were like, we don't like this, and she punched out and she got rid of the stable. You got to remember, at one point when Britt Baker was turning heel, the fans turned on her like, get this bitch off our TV.
Yeah.
And she cut those first couple promos that were some of the worst.
They were awful. So bad.
Yeah. And she's a completely different person. Imagine if she's just like, well, I can't do this. Listen to the reaction I got. Listen to the internet. And we would have never got this Britt Baker, Right. And Brandy had this stable that it was a little weird. It had Luther in it. He was the only guy. Yeah. He couldn't wrestle the girls. So it was like, it was weird, but no one let it play out. They just, the fans didn't like it, so they punched out. So now it was like, okay, well, we can tell Brandy Rhodes what to do now.
Right.
Tell AEW what to do.
Yo, no, that's a great point, man. That's a great point. You show weakness, and they will not let up. They will not let up. And so now, again, the thing to do is just lean in, man. Just lean in. They don't like you. You don't like them. You have a problem with the way they treat you. And yo, honestly, bro, like, I've seen like I saw a couple episodes of Rhodes to the Top, and I'm like, bro, like, I feel like she just needs to, for herself, like, do something on TV to add some value, because I feel like just being like in the house, like, with Cody's mom and Cody's sister, like, she probably feels some type of way, like, all the time, just like getting badgered by like his people and their opinions all the time. You know what I mean? She probably just really wants to bring something to the table, even if it's from like a here's my value on the show type deal. So yeah, man. I mean, like, look, man, I'm always rooting for everybody black. You know what I mean? Unless you doing something to shit on black people, I'm rooting for you. So Brandy Rhodes, which by the way, she's been tap dancing on that line too, but we're not going to talk about that right now. So yeah. Now, one thing about AEW this week that I actually liked and was excited about, we saw Bryan Danielson come out and cut a nice promo offering to form an alliance with Jon Moxley. And for me, I was really intrigued. Obviously, we think this is going to lead to some match between them going down the line, but the idea of the two of them just wrecking shop through AEW, that sounds like appointment TV to me.
I really liked this. And it took us in a direction no one was expecting. They just thought they were going to have an angle and they were going to fight. And you got to remember that heel turn was meant for Moxley initially. And they're not doing like where WWE just, okay, this is what we were going to do. Now everyone's healthy. Let's go back to a formula. Like they're finding a way to tweak that. They're not going to turn Bryan Danielson back babyface or anything like that. So
as well they should, because he's excellent.
Very, very good. And Jon Moxley, to me, he's one of my least favorite wrestlers in the world. I'm so annoyed by him. And the funny thing was, Dean Ambrose was my favorite wrestler.
That's hilarious.
And I hate him right now. I started hating him towards the end. Dean Ambrose from The Shield was my favorite. And then I started gradually disliking him more and more. And I got vibes of, so they don't do super tag teams anymore, ever. The last one I can even think of in wrestling period was like Rated RKO. They don't do that anymore. Even if there's a star, he has some flunky partner. Stables are always a star with their flunkies. There's never there's not that, the main event mafia or evolution or, to an extent the Nexus but that's probably not the best example.
You're spitting right now. You're spitting. Keep going.
Yeah. But you don't have a dream teams. A team that you would put together on a video game against your buddy. Like, let me grab Bryan Danielson and Moxley for my tag team. Right. They don't do that. So this is like a super team, like in sports, and there's nothing like that in their tag team division. So I could see them. I think Moxley's going to do it. I think they are going to go that course a little bit where, because Moxley, I said he was the initial heel turn. I do think he's gonna do this.
So you saying we get a super team?
Yes, I think so.
Super team, you heard it here first. Super team coming up. We getting Moxley and Danielson, and they're gonna wreck shop on the 5'2" roster of AEW. It's gonna be amazing. And by the way, listen, AEW is loaded with factions, but I'm gonna say this part right here: AEW is loaded with factions that nobody cares about. I don't give a damn about Jurassic Express. I don't give a damn about the Super Click. I don't give a damn about the Super Friends. Okay? I don't care. Y'all got a lot of stuff on this show that I do not care about. A lot. And so if you put Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley together, I will care about that because I want to see it. You know what I mean? I want to see it. This is the best Bryan Danielson I've ever seen. Okay? And I enjoyed the hell out of the Yes Movement. You know what I mean? Like one of my favorite wrestling TV moments I can remember is that night where he was where he broke away from the Wyatt family in that cage match and he beat up the Wyatts and got on top of the cage. He was like, yes, that was bananas. I love that. And this right here, this is the best Bryan Danielson I've seen. And so I think this combination of Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley would probably make me actually like Jon Moxley because like I don't really see what it is everybody loves about Jon Moxley so much, you know what I mean? And they book him like damn Superman. My God. Yeah. My God, they book him like Superman. And this is another thing. This is something that really, you know what I mean, really, really grinds my gears. Let me just go ahead and get into this. When we were having this conversation a couple of weeks ago about AEW's representation of black wrestlers, people tried to boil this down to, the Big Swole's just mad because they don't have a black world champion. No, that's not the case, and that's never been the case. If you were to look at, short of Jade Cargill, a couple of weeks ago, there was zero black wrestlers on AEW that you could consider as a credible contender for anything. Okay, it's not about having the world title because look at Jon Moxley. He hasn't had that title in like a year or something, and they still book him like damn Superman. Okay, tell me one black person that's booked as strong as Jon Moxley.
No,
not even Jade Cargill, right? Tell me one black person that's booked as strong as Jungle Boy. No, not none, right? Nope. Not one. So don't give me this, they just want a black world champion bull crap. Because that ain't it. That wasn't it. That ain't never going to be it. You can book somebody strong without making the world champ. So don't try to dumb down these conversations, these arguments. Like I tell you, man, like wrestling fans is so funny. They're a really funny group, man. Like, what was it like 2 weeks ago when they changed Walter's name to Gunther and the internet sleuths they did some digging and they found out that Gunther Stark was the name of a D-list Nazi soldier. And oh God, no. How could you, WWE? How could you have this oversight? You know, they put all the pressure on, they got to change it. But nobody could figure out what the hell is wrong with the way AEW presents black wrestlers. Kiss my grits. Okay, ain't nobody trying to hear that. All right, man. So something I like to do on the show every week is what I'm watching. Okay, so this is the part of the show where we talk about, you know, what we're enjoying in the world of, you know, music, TV, sports, anything like that. You know, step away from this wrestling stuff, you know, because I call this Talking About Podcast because, yes, I love wrestling. I like to talk about wrestling, but I like to talk about all kind of things. So what I want to talk about now with you, BQ, I want you to tell me, you know, what are you watching? What, you know, when you have a little downtime with the wifey, you guys, you know, I know you said you're a big reality TV buff. So what's been on your watch list lately?
Yeah, so I'm a reality TV guy, but the dating style shows is what I'm all over. They're absolute trash majority of the time. Flavor of Love. Right.
Flavor of Love, the greatest one of all time.
I mean, absolute trash, but it's I dig the shit out of it. I always have. So right now, we fell behind a couple of weeks, so we had to binge watch. I say binge watch. It's only 4 episodes in, but we had to watch a couple episodes of Joe Millionaire for Richer or Poorer.
Yes. Oh.
So Joe Millionaire, the original one came out, I think, in 2003.
Yeah.
To where it was a dating show. They told all the girls this guy's a millionaire. He inherited, I think they said $20 million or something like that. So they put him in a mansion. They gave him lessons on how to be proper and all sorts of shit. The dude was a heavy machine operator and didn't have money like that.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole season they go and they got to convince these girls he's rich. And then at the end, he lets the 2 girls know that he's not. And
great. That is one of the greatest moments in TV history. I remember, just hold your thought. I'm going to get back to this. I remember Joe Millionaire because it came on when I was in undergrad. And we used to love this show. It's like, I didn't sit there and just like watch every episode, like, you know, like every single moment. But just the concept that this guy was like, you know, some regular dude, like, you know, dirt poor probably. And these women were throwing themselves at him because they thought he was a baller. Oh my God. Just find gold diggers. The concept, find gold diggers, lie to them, and then give them what they asked for at the end of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, I call that good TV. All right, bring us back to the modern day Joe Millionaire. How's this going with Joe Dirt? Joe Millionaire.
The modern day one, it's not super trashy. The leads are very likable. So it's actually 2 guys. This isn't like the other one that it was 2. I mean, 1. There's 2 dudes, and one of them is worth $10 million, and the other one is not. They present it as if he's poor, but they say they're both CEOs. They both own their own businesses. One guy, the rich one, does something with farming, so he comes across as the one who's not rich. The other guy comes across as he's the rich one. He owns a construction company. And the internet chatter is that he's probably relatively well off, right, because of the business he owns, but they present him as he's poor almost, and he's likely not. But the women do know, so they do know the twist that one is rich, one isn't, and the guys are both dating all the girls. The women for the most part are gorgeous. Like we watch The Bachelor as well, me and my old lady, and I know this. I probably shouldn't say something like this on record, but the women they're not cute this season. There's like 2 or 3 really pretty ones, and the rest are not cute. Like if I were on that show, I'd be like, "What are you doing to me?" the women on Joe Millionaire, 90% of them are beautiful.
Right.
So it's a little easier of a watch than The Bachelor for me this year, and they go on different dates. What's that?
Oh, so you like, yo, I can't watch this show because the women are too ugly.
No, I'm watching it. Don't get me wrong. It's just they're just not cute. So on Joe Millionaire, they go on various dates. Some are high class, some are low class. But just to see how the girls respond to them.
Yeah.
And the rich guy has to downplay himself a little bit. The other guy has to talk himself up a little bit. So, the women are always talking about, who do you think it is? Oh, I keep changing my mind, this and this. And, at the end, they're going to pick their girls, and they're going to see how the girls respond. And the one who's not the millionaire, he has a very strong connection with one particular girl that is convinced he's the rich one.
Okay.
So she comes across as a bit of a gold digger, but not too bad. But I would say half the cast has kind of act like they don't care either way. There's one girl who she was already rich. She was just got eliminated, but she was already rich. So she's like, it doesn't bother me. I'm just, if I like one of them, that's all that matters to me.
Right.
But only a few of them are kind of coming across like they really want the money. Yeah. The majority of the girls are just like, if he's the rich one, great. If not, I can live with it. That's how.
Oh, give it up for honesty.
Yeah. So it's some good stuff. The 2 guys are very likable.
I don't believe these hoes for a second. I don't believe them for a second. If they find out, no, but you know what it is. And let me say this too, though. Like you talked about with the original one, like you said, like the guy was like a heavy machinery worker, probably made like $30,000, something like that. You know what I mean? Like, nothing to write home about. And then you said this guy, you said that both of these guys are CEOs. So one's worth $10 million. One might be worth $100,000. You know what I mean? And I think like we live in a society today where we have like warped money values. You know what I mean? And people consume so much of like this bling bling culture. You know what I'm saying? That like, it's like either you're balling or you're nothing. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
There's a pretty good gap between, balling and nothing. A real big gap between balling and nothing. And so like, if they have any sense of that, right? The idea that this guy is like a CEO of a company, if the company is unless he sells like, fidget spinners out of his trunk, and he's like, yo, I'm the, I'm the CEO of a startup fidget spinner company, then he's probably doing okay, right? And if these women have any sense of that type of thing, then I think they're okay because, like most reasonable people realize like, yo, I don't need $10 million to be happy. You know what I mean? I don't need it. I need to be able to pay my bills, take some vacations, not have to jump out a window if I miss a paycheck. You know what I mean? Like that's most people realize like that's what it is. And so like I think I don't know if it's that these women are such good-hearted. You know what I mean? It's that like they realize there's no real L here.
Yeah. Exactly. So the twist in the first one was that at the very end, they actually gave him $500,000 and the girl he chose $500,000 so that together they would be rich.
Nice.
But they actually never saw each other after the finale.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Give it up for true love.
Yeah.
Oh, that is awesome, man. All right, so do you have a particular contestant in Joe Millionaire that you want to see win? Now, there's going to be two winners? Two women are going to get picked?
Yeah, two, yeah.
One woman has to pick one guy at the end. How's it work?
No, there'll be two winners.
Okay. All right. They both going to be all right. You know what I mean? They both going to be all right. You know, one of them. And look, if hopefully there's another twist, right? Like where they get their own money at the end, where you're not like, oh, I done sat through, 4 weeks.
I think there will be.
Because these people, like, in reality, when you have to go tape a reality show, like, you have to leave your life for, like, 3 months. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or however long they have to tape this show, right? So you got to, like, leave your life. So, like, if you were working at damn, Starbucks, or if you just had, like, a regular job, right? If you were, like, a secretary at your local paper company, right? Like Pam from Dunder Mifflin, right? Like that job not going to be waiting for you in 3 months. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you gotta do. So basically, you just blew your life up, right? And so you better hope, that Joe Millionaire picks you, or you better hope there's like something going on the back end of this. Otherwise, like. You really don't want to, like, there's no way in the hell. I say this every time I watch like one of these dating reality shows. There's no way in the hell you could trust a person who's been in a house trying to win your affection on television for 3 months. No way. Unless you are a moron. Like, there's no way you could trust somebody who you met under those circumstances. Right?
Yeah, true.
I mean, like, that's wild to me.
But to answer your question, there's a girl named, I think Kala is her name or something, this blonde chick. She's just absolutely stunning. So that's who I'm hoping one of them end up with.
Root for the hot chick. When in doubt.
Yeah.
It's good.
Well, because I don't want to see her get eliminated. I just want to see her on the screen. So.
All right, that's fair. Now, how about your fiance? Does she have somebody who she's rooting for?
Yeah, there's one girl. Oh my God, I don't remember her name for shit. She's a black chick. She's gorgeous.
Nice.
That's who she really wants to see end up with one of them.
Shout out Black History Month. There we go. Give it up for the sisters. All my sisters. Give it up to all the sisters. My wife's white, by the way. I'm sorry. Give it up for all the sisters. All right. All right. So Joe Millionaire, that's something everybody, do you recommend everybody checks that out? Would you give it, if you were to give it a rating, 1 out of 10, and whether or not you recommend it, how would you rate it? Oh no, let's do the stars, right? 1 to 5 stars. And how would you recommend it?
I'll give it 4 stars. It's always hard to call anything perfection. It's hard to call anything perfection, but I really enjoy the show.
4 stars. Okay. Would you recommend?
Yeah, absolutely.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. You got your recommendation. All right. So now the main thing I'm watching right now, I'm on the edge of my seat as we are recording this. I know they have dropped the season finale of this season of Power. I have yet to watch it. Once I do watch it, I'll come back next week and talk about it. But my wife and I have just started watching the new season of Ozark.
Oh, yeah.
For Ozark. Ozark is back. Now, listen, Ozark is my jam. Excuse me. I started watching, what did I start watching first? I want to say I started watching Ozark before I started watching Power. But the second I started watching Power, I knew that the person who made Ozark watched Power and said, you know what? This show would be great with white people. Give it up for creativity. Listen, you know how much stuff in pop culture is attributed to somebody saying, you know what? This would be great with white people. Give it up for New Kids on the Block. Okay? New Kids on the Block wasn't nothing but New Edition with white people. Give it up. Give it up. Give it up for Friends. Friends wasn't nothing but living single with white people. Okay? Can we talk about it? So Ozark is back. And I think I've gotten to like the first 2 like 2 episodes of it, and it's crazy. It's crazy. You know, when they were recapping the previous season, how they brought up the big tall lady and they blew her brains out right in front of them. Oh my God. And they show Marty and Wendy in the bathroom picking the stuff out of their hair. Oh, yo, this show is wild. This show is crazy. You know, Marty and Wendy now are challenged with trying to create a way to get this drug cartel lord out of their life. He's telling them he wants them to make a way for him to be able to walk away clean and get out of their life. And if they can do that, then they'll be free of their obligation to him, which seemed to be the problem here, right? Is like, you know, working, you know, for these cartels seems to be like endless money, endless resources, but you never get out of it. You never get out. There's only one way out, and it seems to end the same way for everybody. And you know, Marty was trying to find a way out the whole time. But man, this show is excellent, man. This show continues to be excellent. If you guys have been following the show, if you haven't started watching this season yet, Marty's little apprentice, Ruth, she and her cousin Wyatt. Wyatt. Yeah. She and Wyatt are now against the birds. They're working with what's the lady's name? The farmer lady?
Darlene.
Oh my God, they're working with Darlene. And yo, man, like, this is just good stuff, man. You know what I love about this show? I love how everybody on this show is like super smart. You know what I mean? Everybody's always like thinking one step ahead. And so, you know, that just adds like so many plot twists. You know what I mean? Because nothing is direct, nothing is right there. You can see Marty like analyzing everybody as he's talking to them. Like he's, you know, trying to figure out a way to get an FBI agent compromised and like all of this stuff. Man, this show is absolute fire.
Yeah, that is
fire.
That's a 5-star. Like, you got to watch this show. The first season, the production value is not great. It's super dark. Like, you almost can't see anything unless they're outdoors.
Right.
And no one believes in lights when they're indoors. So it was kind of hard for me to get through that. But after that, it's pretty crazy. It's wild.
And you know what? Similar to Power, I think that that Marty's son could be on his way. He could be on some Tariq type stuff. Oh, you don't know Power, so you don't know what I'm saying. You don't know what I'm saying. You don't get the reference. Okay, all right. So if anybody, do you plan on watching Power?
I might check it one of these days, but it's not on my must-see list.
Let me just tell you, if you want to watch Power, one of the things that I really enjoyed about Power, especially the first season, a lot of sex scenes.
Okay.
Oh yeah, listen. I'm telling you. You watching Power, your lady be watching Power. Don't be surprised if it gets a little popping in the bedroom. Don't be surprised if watching Power, if you just find that, you know, the love life just go boom. It might happen, but you know, on the other side of that, the main character, you know what I mean, he was out there making me look a little bad. This dude is like you know, he's like in shape to like play D-back in the NFL. And you know, I don't exactly look like that when I'm naked. But you know, God is working on me. Okay, God is working on me. Me and my abs and my back muscles. Okay. So, nah, man, but Power's a dope show. I absolutely recommend it. And I haven't finished Ozark yet, but as I'm going through it, I'm gonna keep talking to y'all about it. But if you are looking for a show recommendation, Ozark, I give it 5 out of 5 stars. Highly recommend. So BQ, man, this was your first time on the Talkin Bout Pod. What'd you think?
Good stuff, man. Like I said, it's fun to step out of my box a little bit to where I don't have to talk about you know, keep it so Impact related. It's just nice to just talk about some other shit.
Yeah. So look, man, I hope you had fun. I hope everybody watching at home or listening at home had fun. This is going to be up on YouTube. It's going to be available on SoundCloud, Spotify, Anchor, any and everywhere where you get your audio masterpiece. Thank you guys so much for listening. I know there are so many choices for audio and video content, and I appreciate you guys taking just a couple of minutes to kick it with me and talk about some things that we enjoy. BQ, for anybody who's listening who may not know you or follow you, tell the people where they can find you out here in these social media streets.
You can check me out at BQ Speaks on Twitter.
That's right. And you can find me at TW Talkin Bout on Twitter or really on any social media of choice. You can also find me at Talkin Bout Pod. Find the podcast at Talkin Bout Pod. Also on any of your social media of choice. You know what I mean? Give me a follow, drop a comment, tweet me, I tweet back. And listen, if you guys like the show, tell a friend to tell a friend. Bringing more people into the conversation is really, truly the best thing you can do to help the pod. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. Make sure you give us a 5-star rating in iTunes. In the words of my brother, Bomani Jones, if you only give us 4 stars, I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. Don't be a hater, okay? For my man, BQ, I'm TW. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for enjoying us. Thank you for joining us. Peace.